Well, hello there. I am Natisha Willis, your fearless leader of the Coach Your Damn Self Challenge. And I just want to officially welcome you and say thank you for joining us, all 1,000 plus of us who are endeavoring to coach our damn selves over the next 25 days. So since you chose this video, I'm going to assume that you are short on time. So we're going to make it snappy. So on the live kickoff challenge, one of the things that we discussed was this pyramid here. Hopefully you can see that I like to call the self-mastery hierarchy. So it looks a little bit like Maslow's hierarchy, if you are familiar with that. And the only difference is this hierarchy expresses exactly what we're going to be covering over the next 25 days. So on the bottom, you will notice that it says life. The next level, it says health, wealth, spiritual life, and business. And one of the things that I have noticed that prevents coaches often from making their business successful is that all of these other areas are not being dealt with. And oftentimes there are things that are in the dark. Well, throughout the next 25 days, my goal is to make sure that, number one, you know and acknowledge that you are okay with being a beginner. That means if you fall off, that you jump right back on. That means that if anything happens and you have questions, that you go ahead and ask them. And that also means that because you're trying something new, that you will be very, very communicative. So if anything goes wrong, that we can support you. So with that in mind, I first want to make sure you know that if you have any challenges at all, please email coachyourdamnself@gmail.com and my support team will handle those for you. Next, so this week we're looking at life, okay? First week, we're looking at life, and this is the foundation. So when we talk about the foundation, if you check your starter kit, you'll notice that the resources that are in the life section primarily deal with mental health. These are basically what we know in the coaching world and personal development period is that what you think about, you bring about. And if your mind, if your thoughts, if you haven't yet trained your thoughts to get rid of negative thoughts, you haven't trained your mind to get rid of and eliminate negative thoughts, then chances are everything else you do is going to be affected by those negative thoughts. Okay. The other thing that we're looking at are the things in your life, the foundational areas and places in your life that afford you the opportunity or the ability to make everything else operate. If you have children, that may be making sure that the children are taken care of and picked up from school. If you have a big house, that may mean making sure the house is clean. For me, that my life, the foundation of my life, the things that I needed were my therapist, right? So because as an entrepreneur moving throughout life, I'm always going to be dealing with stress, and stress leads to anxiety and sometimes depression, all of which are totally normal. So having a therapist on call who I can talk to about those things helps me to make sure that I'm coping with them and I'm doing what needs to be done, right? So therapist. Professional organizer. When I tell you hiring a professional organizer was the best thing I could have ever done, and coming from a low-income neighborhood on the south side of Chicago, there was nobody who had a professional organizer. So this is not information I could have gotten any other way. So professional organizer. She also brought with her a housekeeper, which was amazing. Again, south side of Chicago, housekeepers, not heard of. So these are the things that have helped me to organize and get my life in order, the foundation. So this week, you're going to be making goals based around your own personal life goals and recognizing exactly what you need in order to put into place to achieve your life goals. Now, if you check out your starter kit, then you will notice that there is something like a pyramid on there. This is the vision map, okay? And you have one of these for each week of the challenge. The vision mapping process is something that I created. I came up with myself because I was so tired of cutting out pictures in the magazines. That didn't work for me. It was boring. It took a lot of time, effort, energy. I wasn't having a lot of fun, and it was hard. And this is something that I came up with that was super duper simple. And all it requires is a dollar store poster board, dollar store Post-its, and about 10-15 minutes to make it happen. So you'll notice up at the top that first you'll make your goal, identify the goal, and you want to be as specific as possible what your goal is. For me, this one here says create sustainable, healthy eating and exercise habits, okay? Then from that goal, we identify 2 ways to make this one goal happen. For me, that's eat home cooked food 5 days a week. So you'll notice it's specific with an amount of time, of frequency. And then it says exercise regularly 5 days a week. So again, these 2 match here, okay? Here, 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 here. So then level 3, you'll notice that there are these 4 Post-its here. Each of these 2 Post-its go with this one, this goal here. These 2 Post-its here go with this one. And on these 2 Post-its, it says the barriers and the response. And so the barrier is basically what would prevent me from eating home-cooked food 5 days a week. 2 barriers. My mood, I don't feel like cooking, and there's a temptation to eat out. I like to eat out. I'm a single woman. So those are the 2 barriers. Those are the 2 things that would keep me from accomplishing this goal and prevent me from accomplishing this goal, okay? So again, you want to write your barriers. Then you want to identify your response to the barriers. We're thinking ahead because nobody knows us better than we know us, okay? So with the response, how would I respond? Because I'm thinking ahead. I'm putting myself into the future. And so if I know that I don't feel like cooking, that's a common barrier for me eating home-cooked food, what can I do to prepare or prevent that from happening? Well, I've got 3 responses down here. Number 1, hire somebody else to cook. That's a good response. This is basically how I can prepare, right, for the response. The second one is cook in advance on Sundays. That's also a good response. And last but not least, I can cook in bulk. So from Order Blue Apron. So again, these are the responses to me not feeling like cooking so that I can eat home cooked meals 5 days a week so that I can ultimately accomplish my goal here of creating sustainable, healthy eating and exercise habits. Same thing over here. Okay, so you want to make sure that as you go through here, you're thinking ahead. This here, you can put on the wall, and you'll notice that there's one behind me. What I have found is that I can put this on the wall and not even look at it every day. And somehow, because I've invested time, effort, and energy, even though it's only about 15 minutes to complete this, max, because I've really thought about it and thought this through, I noticed that in about 30 days, if that, these goals, and I've made them for every area of my life. But when I do this pyramid here, these goals end up happening. They happen. So this is the vision map because you are mapping a way for you to achieve the goal. You're thinking ahead of things that could get in the way, and you're automatically creating a way to respond. So this is the vision mapping. This is your shortened version of the kickoff party. So make sure that you identify this week a list of goals that you want to achieve in your life. Okay. So again, we're looking at the self-mastery hierarchy. So life here, foundation, all the foundational things that make your life run. The important thing as entrepreneurs, again, we have to make sure that everything is running in our own lives. And again, it's progress, not perfection. So once we're able to identify the areas, literally all we're doing is knocking them off. And it's a consistent growth process. Okay. So life, and we just want to focus on life, we will have the opportunity to speak on health, money, spiritual life, and ultimately your business as the challenge goes on. Again, welcome to the challenge. I am so happy to have you here. Make sure that you introduce yourself in the group, and I'll see you soon. Peace.